Okay, there she goes.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are joining Africa Online Media Corporation. Well, it's a chilly, rainy, drizzly day here in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. What's it looking like outside your door? Well, this is the last Sunday of November, and I have celebrated my birthday all month, so this will be the end of the celebration for me. But we are going to be fast approaching the end of the month. The end of the year, actually, December is starting tomorrow. But before we get into all of the other turkey and the ham and the ripping and the running and the shopping and the snacking and the eating cake and fruit cake and candy, we're going to talk about our health today. Every last Sunday, we always talk about a health topic, and we want to talk about something that's very near and dear to our hearts and also so easily for us to get this disease. We're going to be talking about diabetes, what it is, what it is not, how to avoid it, and the things that we need to do to make sure that we can stay healthy going into the new year. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Professor Niasang, for him to give the editorial of the day. How are you, my brother? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Fine, but for the rain and the cold, everything else is good. Thank you very much. Beautiful in my neck of the woods, even though it's rainy and very cloudy and all the same, wet and cold. And of course, we have just to make do with what we have because nature does what it does and we go along with it. That being said, greetings and welcome to Africa Online Media Corporation. November 30th, 2025, that is the last day of the 11th month of the year, the 334th day of the year 2025. We have just 31 days left to the end of the year. Yes, 31 days to the end of 2025. Today is the 48th Sunday of 2025 on the 49th week of 2025 when we use United States standard calculations. This Sunday is the 70th Sunday, was rather the 70th day, not the 70th day, not the 70th Sunday, but the 70th day of fall. That is, we have just 21 days to go before winter. This is the first Sunday of Advent for Christians, if I can say. So Advent to Christians serves as a time of preparation and anticipation leading up to Christmas. The Advent observance acknowledges that the nature of Christ's first coming and his anticipated return is here with us, and we celebrate it every year. We remember it every year. The 4 weeks of preparation that is in Advent incorporate various practices, symbols, and traditions across different Christian denominations, including Advent wreaths, calendars, and special prayers. But Advent is not the most important thing happening on this last Sunday of November. Today is National Computer Security Day. Yes, National Computer Security Day. The day encourages us to use strong passwords to avoid phishing scams and to take measures to ensure or to secure our devices and personal information. These days, electronic devices such as smartphones, tablets, and computers make up an important component of our everyday lives. While communication has become easier and more efficient rather than anything else, we now know that these technological advancements have brought all of us really, to a lot of being steady, ready, and waiting to be sure that what we do is worth it. Because sometimes you may click on something and it brings you a whole world of disasters, a whole lot of disasters, that is. It is the last Sunday in November, as we said, so let's leave that there. It is the last Sunday of the month, and of course, it is time to think about health. Ambassador Lisa already said that. And coming out of one big eating season, Thanksgiving, and going into another eating season, Christmas, how appropriate is it for us to look back at one of those diseases that go with what we eat and how we eat it, that is diabetes, which is the topic of the day. But what is diabetes and why is it so difficult to get rid of it? Why is it becoming so pervasive? Join Africa Online Media Corporation, therefore, so we can together reason together, so we can together see how we can kick diabetes out of our lives. Many experts and reference books tell us that diabetes, quote, is a group of common endocrine diseases characterized by sustained high blood sugar levels, and its classic symptoms include excessive thirst, excessive urination, weight loss, and blurred vision. I'll leave that to our experts on the show, our guests. They are not guests, they are in-house guests, to tell us more about diabetes. Some people, however, assume that their bodies are their personal property, which they can treat whichever way they want. Wrong. King David concluded in his time that the human body is, quote, fearfully and wonderfully made, end of quote. And St. Paul, the apostle, the gospel, the epistle writer, concluded and told the Corinthians that, quote, for you are the temple of God. What has this got to do with what we are doing today? If we are temples, then we have to keep that temple good, healthy, and clean. Without claiming any special training in health matters, all I can say is that diabetes, like some other diseases, has been attributed to some of our lifestyles. Therefore, how we take care of our bodies will either keep us as healthy as we can be and as the Almighty wants us to be, or we can become very unhealthy, therefore unsuitable for His Majesty to stay there. Health is wealth because we all work hard, because we all work our own farms. In those days anyway, we used to work our own farms. We used to trek to every single place we went to, and we stayed fit and healthy because we were always healthy, sweating, and making sure that we got out the wrong stuff from our bodies. For many of us city dwellers, exercise, however, has become as rare as a dog's tears. We hop into a taxi or into a cab or into a car whenever we want to go somewhere, go to the store, go to the neighborhood, whatever. We don't take care of our bodies as we used to do. Diabetes and other diseases thus find ready abode in our bodies. Diabetes has been described as a silent killer because it attacks the body's ability to produce or use insulin, a hormone that helps transport the energy from the food we eat to the body's cells. The residual, unusual, and unused sugar actually is what becomes a problem to us because it accumulates and gives us diseases. Whatever that is, we will turn to our in-house guest, Dr. B, and I think she's ready. If not, our chair, Reverend Palm, will first welcome everyone to the discussion this last Sunday of the month of November. Reverend Palm, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are not hearing any background noise, but I'm happy the Thanksgiving continues, you know. Ambassador Lisa, we have to celebrate your birthday to next November. So don't end it today, please. And you are looking beautiful. And so is our beauty queen, Miss Virginia Senior World, Dr. Gloria Crossley, our beautiful Dr. B. Tazong, who can't show her face today. Hopefully, our handsome Dr. Sir Chief, too many titles. Kingsley Ugoji will be able to show his face.
Yes.
These two have been the most faithful medical squad member. There he goes, Dr. Ugoji, looking great in his
Yeah.
black blazer. Definitely, you are home. You are not at the hospital delivering babies today. So we have a powerhouse, on this topic, diabetes. Whenever we do medical missions, number one, diagnosis, high blood pressure. Number two, diabetes. Number three, cholesterol. They go together. So this is a topic that we've addressed every year, and hopefully it would save some lives. I'm very happy with the people, the experts that we have today, both Dr. B and Dr. Kingsley, medical geniuses. So I won't talk long. I'll stay muted, but I'm going to hand over to Ambassador Lisa. No. Before I do that, Dr. Ugoji, take a minute and introduce yourself. You've been on this show from day one, but there may be some new viewers that are not familiar with you. And then I would like Dr. B to also take a minute and introduce herself before we go to Ambassador Lisa and me also.
Yes, Dr. Ugoji, you go first.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Kingsley Ugoji. I'm a physician, double-bodied family medicine with obstetrics and gynecology. I've been practicing for at least 26 years now of practice, and I treat diabetes in patients, both pregnant and non-pregnant patients. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. B. Tazong, I know she's hiding her face today, but no problem. You are welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, sir. Please forgive me if I have to put in a correction. My other last name is Formundam, just to make sure that I give my husband his due respect.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Apologies.
Yes.
Yes. So
We don't want to cause a fight.
No, not at all. So again, thank you. It's always a privilege to come here and just share, because any little bit of information that can get anybody out of trouble is something that excites me. I'm excited about being a blessing and helping people take charge of their own lives and their health. Because I don't care how good a doctor is, nobody can take better care of you than you. There are things that the doctors can do, but there are a lot more things that you can do to help yourself. So, with that being said, I am a physician who is, again, double boarded in preventive medicine and lifestyle medicine. But I have done a lot of other things. And part of what I've done in the past few years is dermatology. And I've also done some HIV care. So I have a very interesting background. I've done a lot of clinical research too. And part of my clinical research was in diabetes. I did clinical research in diabetes, in brain trauma, and in kidney transplant in HIV patients. So it's given me, the reason I give this background is because it's just given me a wealth of information and things that normally we don't think about when we're in everyday clinic that absolutely make a difference in how we care for people. I look forward to helping again today to enlighten our fellow people on this show with how to identify and help themselves when they're either at risk of being diabetic or they actually have diabetes. Thank you.
That being said, we turn to our birthday girl, that is Ambassador Lisa. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Niasan. So, Dr. Goji and Dr. B, we are delighted to have you. As we said earlier, they are our in-house staff, and they are always on hand to share their wisdom and their knowledge. So, Dr. Goji, we're going to start with you. What exactly is diabetes? You're muted.
Dr. Ugoji, you are muted.
Still muted.
Dr. Ugoji is muted.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Thank you.
So diabetes is a multi-systemic disease. That's the primary problem is severe hyperglycemia. That means high blood sugar. Blood sugars are high. Sugar is so if your body have constantly elevated high blood sugar, it leads to so many different problems that can affect every organ of the body that causes disease processes that we call diabetes. The main cause of diabetes is problem with insulin metabolism. Some people, their insulin is not very effective. We call them insulin resistant. Other people don't have enough insulin. We call them insulin deficiency. Like people with type 1 diabetes have no insulin. For type 2 diabetes, the insulin is not as effective to manage the blood sugar the way it's supposed to be.
Thank you. Dr. B, would you like to add to that? What is diabetes?
Sure, I'm going to get just a little bit more technical. And the reason I'm doing this is because, at home, when you ask people, they say, oh, the doctor said I just have a little bit of sugar. That always drives me nuts. I'm like, do you have diabetes or not? And what exactly are your numbers? So I want to give people some numbers here because what Dr. Ogoji said is right on point. But I want to give some exact numbers. There are 4 ways we diagnose diabetes. So first of all, we screen based on age and based on risk factors. And then also sometimes people come in with symptoms or sometimes people come in with emergencies and then we screen for diabetes. But what we do, there are 4 different ways to screen. So there's something we call hemoglobin A1C. And I want you to think about it this way. Sugar is very sticky. Like when you pour juice on some place and you come back, it's very sticky. That's what sugar does. Sugar behaves the same way. It doesn't matter where it's at. So inside the human body, sugar is also sticky. So it sticks to your red blood cells. And there's a certain percentage of sugar that sticks to your red blood cells that is acceptable. That's what we call glycated hemoglobin, which is basically A1C. So based on A1C tells us the percentage of your red blood cells that have sugar stuck to them. So if you have more red blood cells with sugar stuck to them, it means that you had a higher amount than normal of sugar in your blood. And that is usually an average of a 2 to 3 month period. So when people come in and they have an A1C and they say, oh, my sugar has been good, I say that is a lie. If you have an A1C that is high, it tells me that you've been running high numbers long enough that they've stuck to your red blood cells. And also, a disclaimer I always make, again, because of my background in research, is that I always believe in a high A1C, but I don't believe in normal A1C because remember, it's an average. If you have highs and lows, you may have a normal looking A1C. So there's more to it. But for the purposes of diagnosis, the A1C that we use to diagnose diabetes is anything greater than 6.5%. So if more than 6.5% of your red blood cells have sugar stuck to them, you are diabetic. Another thing we use, there are other things like pre-diabetes and so on, normal blood sugars, but I'm not going to worry with that right now. Another thing we look at is glucose tolerance testing. And again, a lot of times it depends on how the patient presents. If you're just screening, if you see an abnormal number, you screen again. But if somebody comes in with all these wild numbers and all these wild symptoms, you diagnose almost immediately. Like if they come in hyperglycemic shock, or they come in with terrible symptoms, and you know that this person is basically sitting there with diabetes, you diagnose much faster, but you can still run other tests. So there's the oral glucose tolerance testing. And what we do is that we challenge your body with sugar. They call it the glucose tolerance, the glucose glucola or something, I forget the name, and they give you that amount of sugar. It's a very ridiculous tasting sweet drink that we give you to drink, and they check your blood sugar, and they do this in clinic, not at home. So they check your blood sugar before before they run the test, and then they check your blood sugar 2 hours after, because usually 2 hours after, that's when your blood sugar is highest. That's even when you eat, the sugar spikes at the highest at about 2 hours. So we look and see how did your body handle the sugar that we challenged it with. And any number above 200 is considered to be 200 milligrams per deciliter is considered to be diabetic. Another way we check for blood sugar is your fasting blood sugar. So this is blood sugar that you have after you've gone to bed. You didn't eat for the last maybe 8 to 10 or 12 hours. And we check your blood sugar because generally your body should have cleaned out whatever was in your system. And if we have a fasting blood sugar that is greater than 126 milligrams per deciliter, you're considered diabetic. Again, those are numbers that we always like to recheck. And then the final one is a random blood sugar. A random blood sugar is we just met you, and in the middle of nowhere, we check your blood sugar. So you can repeat this test, but usually we go for a first-time diagnosis if you have a random blood sugar of greater than 200, but you also have a lot of symptoms. And the common symptoms of diabetes would be, I'm going to give you the technical names and I'll break them down for you. There's polyuria, that's peeing a lot. There's polydipsia, which is very thirsty. There's polyphagia, which means you're always hungry. There's blurry vision, and there's fatigue. And all of these are very clearly explained with diabetes. Polyuria, the human body is amazing. When your blood sugars are high, your body tries to bring them down to normal. So what does your body do? Your body pees them out because the sugar is sitting in your blood. Your cells are not able to take them up again because of what Dr. Ogoji explained. You're either having trouble with insulin sensitivity or you don't even have enough insulin. And so your body tries to pee them out. So you tend to pee a lot. And back in the day, the way they used to diagnose diabetes was that you see ants will come to your urine, or sometimes people used to taste it and it was sweet because there was a lot of sugar in it. So that's why we call it polyuria. Poly means many. So you're urinating too many times. Polydipsia means you're always thirsty because, again, what happens when you're peeing a lot, you get dehydrated. So your body says, please, I need more water. I'm losing a lot of water in my pee. So please keep giving me more water. And that's why a lot of diabetics get into trouble when they get dehydrated, when they're sick or in the summer, because it's easy to get dehydrated and then your blood sugars really get concentrated and then you get into trouble. There's polyphagia because what is the primary source of energy for your body? It's sugar. But the sugar is sitting in your blood. It's not getting into the cells that need it. So your body feels hungry. So I call it's like you have money in the bank, but you don't have access to the money. So you always feel broke. So your body it has food sitting in there, but your body does not have access. The cells that need it don't have access. So as far as the body is concerned, it is hungry. So you're always feeling hungry. So you need to eat, but the food is not going to where it needs to go because when it gets converted into sugar, it ends up in your blood and it's not going into the cells. Another thing is blurry vision. That's one of the most common things. And patients will tell you when they come in with blurry vision and you bring their sugars down, that's one of the first things that improve after you've brought sugars down because that sugar just makes it basically clouds your lenses. So it looks like somebody put a film over your lenses. Once the sugars come down, they tell you, oh my goodness, I see so much better. Then the other one is fatigue, and that's again coming from your body starving because your body does not have access to sugar that it needs for energy production. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Dr. B. Um, you've already told us what diabetes is, and you've told us how you diagnose it. I'm curious as to how do we, um, what is the organ in our body that produces this insulin, and why does it not work, Dr. B?
So the main organ that produces insulin is your pancreas, the islet of Langerhans. They produce the beta cells that produce insulin. So there are many reasons why you may run into trouble. So again, sometimes things may have happened that may have damaged these cells. People, especially with type 1 diabetes, or they may have had some kind of health issue, or people that drink a lot and they had some damage like pancreatitis and so on, some kind of damage to the pancreas, and the pancreas does not produce enough insulin. So basically the insulin serves as a key that unlocks your cells so that sugar can leave your blood and go into your cells. So if you don't have those keys, the sugar doesn't is not able to leave the blood. There's nothing to open the door into the cell so that the sugar can leave the blood and go into the cell. There's also a thing called insulin resistance, where your body no longer responds well to insulin. So you're producing enough, but your body does not respond well. And a lot of times that is tied to like weight gain, like fat. The fat, when you have excess fat, is not just what you see on the body and what you see not fitting your clothes right. It's actually stuck between your cells. And it prevents insulin from doing its job well. I almost think about it as somebody putting shackles on you and asking you to run. That's what fat does to your cells. And that's why one of the big risk factors for insulin resistance is weight gain, is diabetes. And there's also diabetes, there's also genetic predisposition, but a bigger part of it is really bigger. Genetic predisposition is almost like putting a bullet in a gun. But what really causes the trouble is when you fire it, and fire it is lifestyle choices. Those are the two main things that can happen. There are other illnesses that can cause you to again damage to your islets of Langerhans, or making it harder for your body to respond to insulin. A good thing though is that the body has a third pathway on how sugar can get into the cells without insulin. When you exercise, those glucose receptors actually open up on their own and they let sugar into the cells. That's why when you're diabetic, if you're very physically active, they have to reduce your medication because you're going to start having low blood sugars.
Thank you, Dr. B. Dr. Gloria, who is one of our regular contributors on this show, we are so delighted to have her. She is always usually driving, which I believe she is now. We are opening the floor for questions about diabetes. Welcome, Dr. Gloria.
Thank you so much, and hello to the global audience and to Her Excellency, Dr. Pam Fomina, and to you, Prophetess Lisa, and to Professor Nia-san, to Dr. Ugoji and Dr. B, and to myself. So my question is, since diabetes is so prevalent, now we're in 2025, what advancement has science made to help ease some of the issues that contribute to diabetes?
Who do you want to answer that
Our guest,
question?
please. Yeah, either Dr. Ugoji or Dr. B, please.
What advancements?
Well, we've come a long way in diabetic management. Long way. When I was in medical school, it was fasting blood sugar. Or sorry, it was urine dipstick. It takes blood sugar in your urine. Those people in the villages used to test their urine with their mouth or monitor ants trying to eat their urine after they pee. From that, we went to fasting blood sugar, we went to A1C, it's all new, and now we have to call CGM, continuous glucose monitoring, which is a device that you put in your body and you monitor your blood sugar continuously and give you an idea. In fact, I'm a big advocate that everybody should wear a CGM, whether you're diabetic or not, at least for 2 weeks. If it's a small monitor, I have one on my arm here, which I got when I went for a medical conference. I wore it for 2 weeks, and it tells me the bad food that I eat, the things I should stop eating, and things that goes wrong. So in area of diagnosis and monitoring, there have been a lot of improvement from A1C, fasting blood sugar, the 2-hour glucose test, the glucometer, and now they have to call CGM. Medication-wise, there's a lot of new medication for diabetes. When I was in medical school, it was just metformin and glipizide. Today, we have things like, well, we have
The
insulin.
GLP ones. The
There was just
GLP
one insulin. Yeah, there was just one type of insulin those days. They have like different type of insulin. They have GLP-1s like Ozempic, Wegovy. We have Jadans. We have so many medications advancements. In area of lifestyle changes, people now go to specialized diabetic education, where if you actually eat right, you can cure your diabetes. I mean, cure. The aim wants you to go to less than 5.7.
That's right.
If you eat right, I have one of my patients who actually engaged in serious dietary management. He was from Africa. He made his fufu from
Cabbage.
Or cauliflower.
and cauliflower.
Eggplant.
Yeah, he lost weight and he wants to go below 7.5, and now she's no longer diabetic, technically. In area of diagnosis, things have changed a lot. In the past, if you are fat, you have type 2. If you are skinny, you have type 1. But that's not true. Now we do things like antibody tests for diabetes, genetic tests. I know whether I actually have type 1 or type 2. There are some people who are really obese, they actually have type 1. I will treat as type 2, they don't go nowhere. So a lot of investment are going to diabetes, and things have improved from diagnosis, medication, treatment, monitoring. And then even for care of diabetic patients. Now, if you come and see my diabetic patient, I check you from your eye to your body, to your feet. Because diabetes can damage your foot, your eye, your ears, your skin, your heart, name it. Diabetes can deal with you. So I tell my patients, you have option. Take care of diabetes or diabetes take care of you. can take diabetes and put it in your pocket, and you live your life, or diabetes will take care of you if you don't do anything.
Yeah, so right before Dr. B weigh in, just a couple of things, advances. Now they even have a lot of diabetic educators. They could be nurses, they could be pharmacists. People are monitoring patients, because it's one thing for a patient to go see a doctor, the doctor prescribe medications, but how many of those patients are actually compliant with their medication adherence? How many of them? So you have all these other advances with certifications, people that can become diabetic educators and also help. And then some of the insurance companies now are hiring pharmacists to monitor patients from home, to actually call patients to follow up to make sure they are taking their medications correctly. And most of the disease states that have been managed is high blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol. So there's a lot of advances, especially in education. And with the GLP-1 medications that Dr. Ugoji mentioned, there are other benefits that have happened. Now, even though a lot of people are using it for weight loss and actually making it difficult for the diabetic patient to actually have access to them, because demand outweighs supplies, but it is still, in managing the diabetes, they are managing other chronic problems in this country like weight, obesity. But I just wanted to mention about that education part, because that's something that never used to be there. And even when they started doing that, insurance companies were not paying. But now insurance companies are not only paying, they're actually hiring pharmacists and nurses to do this work behind the scenes. And I think most of it is because they want to have like a 4-star rating with the Centers for Medicare, So, but let's go to Dr. B.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I think we're talking about the advances made in diabetes care. And
Yes.
Dr. Ogoji covered just about everything. I just want to put in an important factoid. Back in the day, before there was insulin and any medications, when you were diabetic and your blood sugars were high, how did they treat it? They basically starved you, because if you starve a diabetic long enough, yeah, their sugar will go down, but it can, but that's pain. That's a painful process, because that was how you brought the sugar down. And so right now, in addition to all these wonderful medications we have, one of the things with diabetes is that a diabetic needs to know when they can get in trouble, because that affects the kind of care that they will receive. For example, again, when you get sick, you're more likely, the body's natural response to illness is to go into fight or flight, right? And part of what that does is that it increases your blood sugar levels. It increases your body's getting ready to fight. And so your blood sugars go up. So when you're sick, you should know that you're more likely to get into trouble with your blood sugars. On a hot day, if you're not drinking enough water, not juice, not soda, nothing sweet, because all you're doing is loading up on more sugar. If you're not drinking enough water, you're getting more and more dehydrated, and you're more likely to get into trouble. So just little things like that, because that again kind of redirects the care, because those acute moments are when we go back to the basics of diabetic care, where you go into the hospital. The two main things they'll do for you is hydrate you so you can pee out the sugar, and load you up with insulin so that your cells can take up some more sugar. So we are basically trying to run the sugar out of the blood. We want to put it either in the cells or get it out of your body.
Yeah, let me just add something. Dr. Goji mentioned the different type of insulins. I don't know how many people realize it. I actually was privileged to see a sample of the original insulin. And believe me, it was dark brown, the color. Can you imagine? I'm talking about regular insulin. The original version was dark. That's how far we have come. The regular insulin is clear. There's no doubt. But when actually, I'll tell you exactly where that bottle is. It's on Wilkers and Bissonnet in Houston at PCCA. That's Professional Compounding Centers of America. They have a sample of that original bottle. That's why I saw it. So we have come a long way, a very, very long way. And I was also privileged as a pharmacy student to visit Eli Lilly manufacturing plant in Indianapolis. Actually, if you see the process of where they make medications, not just insulin, you will appreciate the medication when it actually gets to you as a patient, and you'll be compliant. Let me go back to me because I'm in a noisy area.
Thank you, Dr. B and Dr. Goji. Dr. Goji, you said talking about advances. You said that if you were overweight, you were type 2. If you were skinny, you had type 1. Talking about advances, I always thought that type 1 was what we call juvenile diabetes. And I assume that young people either got it at birth or in their junior years. So, what is the difference between type 1 and type 2? Is that no longer juvenile diabetes?
What I said is, if you are in the past, we assume that if you are overweight, you have type 2. If you are skinny, you have type 1. That was the assumption.
Oh, that was the assumption.
Also,
Okay.
yes, because now some overweight people actually have type 1, while some skinny people actually have type 2. Same thing, if you are very young, it's called juvenile diabetes, used to be type 1. If you get at older age, you should have type 2. But that was an assumption because there's some
Okay.
kids as young as 12, 13-year-olds have type 2, while some 40-year-old people develop type 1. So as a standard of care now, if somebody have diabetes type 1 or spare type 2, you try to manage them with diabetic medication that are not getting better, you test antibodies to see are they actually type 2 or type 1. So you have blood tests to find out if you have type 1 or type 2. So to answer your question directly, the main difference between type 1 and type 2 is this. In type 1, your pancreas is destroyed by antibodies. So your body develop antibodies that go and attack your pancreas and destroy them.
Okay.
Therefore, you don't produce any insulin at all. Why in type 2, your body produces insulin, but it's not effective. Your body cannot use the insulin that you produce. So you need a lot more insulin to do what? Assume that you need, your body produces just 10 cc of insulin that you need. If you develop insulin resistance, you need about 20 or 30 cc of insulin. So you produce insulin, but your body doesn't really use the insulin very well. So call it insulin resistant. Of course, most type 2, when they live long enough, because initially type 2 patients don't take insulin. We give them glipizide, metformin, and glyburide. These are different diabetic medications. That makes the body absorb the sugar better because the insulin is not working, it's not doing its job. But if you are type 2 and you live long enough, you eventually need more insulin to do that way. So it's kind of complicated, but type 1 is juvenile diabetes. People usually get at a younger age and are usually skinny. While type 2 is in the past was maturity onset diabetes or adult onset diabetes. Most people are obese and they have a very strong family history. But it's not always like that because you can have type 1 at 40, you can have type 2, you can have type 2 at 16.
Wow. I'm listening to you. I'm thinking back about the couple. I think I know 3 people coming up that had type 1 as juveniles, and they were skinny, like you said, they were extremely skinny, now that I think about it. So the fact that they didn't have a pancreas, you said that the pancreas was destroyed. Is it the fact that the pancreas is destroyed that they can't gain any weight?
So, I mean, in type 2, okay, you have insulin resistance, that your body produces too much insulin and your body doesn't really absorb. Your body doesn't make use of the insulin that you have. They produce more. But in type 1, they lose weight because, I'm not sure why they lose weight, but they actually lose weight because of the hyperglycemia, because the sugar tends to be very, very high compared to the type 2 in those days. But even if you have type 2 and you don't take medication, you become as skinny as type 1. Most people with type 2 diabetes that are not taking the proper medication or treatment, by the time they lose weight, they lose sugar, they become dehydrated, they lose body fat, they become skinny. So diabetes does not make you actually lose weight if you don't take care of it.
It makes you lose weight if you don't take care of it.
If you have the type 2 diabetes, You take no medication, your sugar is in 500, 600, you're going to lose weight. You will
Okay.
eat, you pee, and you get hungry, you eat, you pee, and you lose weight. It's what we call diabetic coma. End up in the hospital with coma, where sugar in about
Oh,
500, or call it diabetic coma. It's, it's very common in Africa, even common in this part of the world for young people. Like, what happened in America is that you see a young guy with diabetes type 2 or type 1, it doesn't matter. They stay home. Their mom say, have you taken your insulin? Have you taken your medication? Eat right, eat right. Imagine a 12-year-old start taking shot when he was 12. He takes the shot every time. He goes to school. He goes and no other kids takes shots in the high school, only him. He feels embarrassed, he doesn't like it. He turns 18, go to college, he say, bullshit, and that's all rubbish. He stopped all his medication. It's very common. Then within 6 months, end up in the emergency room with what we call diabetic ketoacidosis. They'll say type 1 diabetes, he's skinny, he's almost dying. They'll revive him, send him home with
wow.
insulin. He goes home again, go back to college, don't take his medication, take it for a month, stop it. They have 3 DKAs. They go to hospital 3 times. With DKA, they say, oh my goodness, my parents were right. Time to take my diabetes seriously and start taking their medication. So we see DKS in young people here in America when they go to college. But for older people, we see the money in a minority population who don't believe they have diabetes, they're all in denial. Their sugar goes into 400, 500, 600. They pee all the sugar, they pee all the water, and they lose weight, and they collapse and be taken to hospital. So they really actually make you lose weight, even though if you're fat, you're more likely type 2. If you're skinny, more like type 1.
Thank you, Dr. Ugoji. Uh, Dr. B, earlier, Dr. Ugoji was saying something about he believes that everyone should wear the sugar patch on their arm. You said that you strongly agree. Tell us why when you're not diabetic.
So, there's a lot of information that we don't have. I love glucose monitoring, and I'll tell you why. When I did research at Washington Hospital Center, they used to call it MedStar Diabetes Institute. I learned something very important. I was doing some research for Eli Lilly, and so we would give the patients insulin and would give them, because before people had trouble monitoring their blood sugar because the strips were so expensive, and it was just people didn't want to pay that much for insulin strips. So and then the way the insurance companies used to do it, they will only give you a large number of strips if you were pregnant. I've had gestational diabetes, so I know about that. If you're pregnant, they'll give you a large number of strips because they didn't want the baby to come out with deformed. They didn't want the complications associated with uncontrolled blood sugar, especially in pregnancy. The baby comes out with problems, the mother has issues, so they make sure that you check your blood sugars aggressively. And so what I learned when I was doing research, we used to get patients to check their blood sugars 6 times a day. And the way I explained it to everybody is this: check it first thing in the morning, that's your fasting blood sugar. Check it 2 hours after breakfast. Check it before lunch, 2 hours after lunch. Before dinner, 2 hours after dinner. That's basically something equivalent to continuous blood glucose monitoring, but you have to do it yourself, because what you're doing is that you're getting live feedback of what you do to your body. Because some people come in and their sugar is high, they'll be like, "Oh no, it's that thing I ate 2 days ago or 3 days ago. That's why my blood sugar is still high." And I'm like, "No, give me. I want to know what you ate today or in the last few hours." And even when we're adjusting insulin, we're looking at the very, like, we're trying to catch up with what has been happening in the last 1 or 2 meals, because we need to know what you've been doing. And so those patients that we got them to do their 6 time a day monitoring, what I found out with them is that they had to come in weekly, or I think bi-weekly, to give me feedback, to bring in their logs so I could go over them. And when I noticed that when my patients were checking their blood sugars, they behaved better. They were more aware of their blood sugar control. And you would know, even with regular diabetics, when they don't want to control themselves, they stop checking their blood sugars, because what you don't see doesn't bother you. When you see stuff, it bothers you. So with continuous blood glucose monitoring, you don't really have a choice. Your body just automatically checks it, and your body actually, the machine screams at you when it's high, like beep, 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 beep. So you cannot pretend. So every time you do something, your body tells you, like, live feedback on what is happening. And I will tell you, I have somebody close that actually got one, because every time this person ate, they would say, "Oh no, I just had a little bit of something." I'm like, "No, apparently it was not that small because your body is not handling it well." So they would argue. When they put on the continuous glucose monitoring, I was just like, "Now we listen. There's no more excuse here. Your body is going to tell us what. The body doesn't lie. Okay, the body tells us what's up." And trust me, all of a sudden, the way they were changing, they were eating changed. The arguments were down because now the body gives live feedback. I'm like, nobody's interfering with this. This is direct recording from your body. Your body is telling us what's happening as soon as you do things to your body. And so I think that not just for diabetics, even for other people, because there are things that we eat that are not good for our bodies, but we don't know it. Because let's say you're not diabetic, you may not have symptoms in the long run. But the problem with high blood sugar is not just the side effects that you have in the long run, but there are also short-term things, what we call acute inflammation. High blood sugar actually drives your body crazy. The way I describe inflammation is almost like lighting the body on fire. So when your blood sugar is high, every time you have a sugar spike, you have a spike in inflammation too. And that means a lot of bad things to the entire body. So even people that are not diabetic, when you eat a lot of sugar, you're gonna have a spike. So you're gonna have issues with inflammation. So you may not have diabetes, but you may have arthritis, or you may have issues with pain and all these other things, autoimmune stuff. Whenever you have a spike in inflammation, all those things get a little worse. I think that everybody, just for the sake of understanding how to treat our bodies and for the sake of curiosity, should do continuous blood glucose monitoring, because especially now we have changed the way we eat. We're eating a whole lot of things that we shouldn't be eating. Our grandparents didn't need to do that because they ate straight off the farm. They ate lots more vegetables. They were active. They basically
Yes.
did things that kept you out of trouble. We are different. We are eating the wrong things. We are not behaving well with our bodies. We are not very active. We are not drinking. We drink a lot of sweets and all those things that our bodies do not need. And it's nice to show people what they're doing to themselves, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you see it, it's difficult to ignore it.
Now,
Thank
Dr.
you.
P, let me ask you, sorry, let me ask
No,
this
no.
question. It's for both of you anyway. Is diabetes contagious?
The answer is no, but I think I know what you're trying to ask. Contagious is like an infectious disease. It is not
Yes.
contagious. You cannot catch it from somebody, but you can inherit, you can be predisposed, meaning that you have
That's my question.
a genetic predisposition. So you may have things that make it more likely for you to have damage to your insulin cells, or things that make it more likely for you to have resistance to insulin response, or things that also cause, like buildup of fat, basically metabolic syndrome. I was going to talk about that because that's something that we need to be aware of. If you have metabolic syndrome, one of the things we're concerned about, I call them friends. They travel together: elevated blood sugar, elevated cholesterol, elevated blood pressure. So I call it salt, sugar, fat. Metabolic, when you have metabolic syndrome, those things are generally run in families. They're genetic predispositions, but that doesn't mean that you have to end up with a problem. And that's why we're having this conversation, because you do have the power to stop the drama. You just have to make some changes and stick with the changes.
Well, Dr. Croston's hand is up, but Dr. B, thank you. You call them friends. I call them family members. High blood pressure is the father, diabetes is the mother, and cholesterol they travel together. And I know me ask that question not because of him, but because of some of our viewers that may not know. But Dr. Croston's hand is up. Dr. Croston, over to you.
So, yes, ma'am. So, yeah, thank you, Dr. Pam. So I was on you mentioned travel. I was on an airplane right before it was taking off. And this guy sitting right behind me, I just felt funny, right? And he was talking. I said hello and everything. And all of a sudden, when I turned back around, he had passed out. And water was everywhere. I've never seen so much water from a human being. And I used to teach first aid CPR, American Red Cross, and they would always teach us about body fluids, be careful. Well, I never had experienced so much body fluid from this guy. And he had passed out, obviously. And I didn't have any gloves, but I touched his body because I didn't know. And all of this water was on my hands and it smelled really bad. Well, I didn't know he was having an episode with his diabetes, and neither did the captain of the plane. And I said, "Is there a doctor on this flight or a nurse? Can somebody help me?" Nobody would volunteer, because they don't want to get sued or anything. So I told the captain, the stewardess, to tell the captain that we need to get this guy off to the hospital. But the guy was, knocked out. But when he came to, then he gave his consent that no, he didn't want to go to the 911 to the hospital. But we talked him into going, and not because I told him once we get up in the air and we don't know what's wrong with him,
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on that, Dr. B? But it was the diabetic coma stuff. Thank you.
Wow.
So I think, there are so many things. First of all, if you're not feeling well, the last place you want to be sick in is in the air, because it's not as if you can just say, hey, let me get off this plane and just go get into the hospital. You're gonna have to sweat it out until that plane comes down. So I think that was a very smart move. It was nice that you talked to this patient and got them to get the care that they needed. And of course, we always, especially in healthcare, we know about body fluids and so on. And you're always trying to be humane. You don't want to let somebody down, but you also have to protect yourself, because if you get sick, then you're not much help to other people. So I think what you did there was very good. And I think, part of what we do in training is that when we see somebody down, we ask, what are the possibilities? One of the things we always check when somebody just passes out, the first one of the things you want to check, is it a seizure? Is it a low blood sugar? Because low blood sugar can also cause seizures. Or is it a high blood sugar? Is it a heart attack, or is it a stroke? But usually if it's a stroke, you can see some other things. If it's a heart attack, then they're out. And so there are things. And so I'm happy that somebody was able to corner this guy and figure out the basic stuff and get him the help he needed. And I would say that anytime you have that kind of situation, please talk these people. Say, listen, I know you have to get somewhere, but what if you never make it there? It's better to live to fight another day. Go take care of yourself. Always.
Mm.
Let
I
me just let me just add something here. This happened to me at the airport. I was my everything had been checked in. I was heading to Michigan, and at the gate, about 30 minutes before we were to take off, I started having this severe pain in my left leg. The pain was so severe. Guess what they did? The airline, I told them I was having severe pains. I had no idea. I was just saying with this guy, because even if he did not want to go to the hospital, the airline had the right to tell him, you're not going to
no.
stay on this flight, because that's what happened to me. They would not let me board the plane. They called the airport medical. I don't remember the title, but there's somebody at the airlines. They have people at the airport that handle medical emergency. This guy came. The next thing I know, they came. Paramedics came and they took me to the closest hospital, and I was admitted. My stuff had already gone, but the
Blood clots.
airline would not let me in the plane. This was 30 minutes before takeoff. They would not let me in the plane, and I was the one that went to the counter to let the lady know that, look, I'm having a lot of problems with my left leg. I just needed assistance with my hand luggage, but they told me they cannot let me on that plane. So I had a choice to refuse medical care, but they had a choice to say, you're not getting on this flight, even though my things had already
Right.
gone. So they
Yes,
had to
and
send my things back.
I think, Reverend Pam, one of the things that we as human beings don't think about, because we're only thinking about, oh, I need to get to so and so place, is that one, if you have a medical emergency, that causes a nightmare for everybody. They have to probably divert that plane. That
Yeah.
throws every other person off. It throws the flight schedule off. So if you notice somebody who is having a major issue on the flight and they don't want to get off before the plane takes off, please pull the bell, report them. No, you're not reporting to be evil. You're reporting because you want to keep them safe, and every other person also has a mission to accomplish.
Mhm.
And this person, yeah, they may be held back for a day, but they'll be okay. They live to fight another day, and that's my argument. There was something else that I really wanted to mention, because diabetes is, I think, it's one of the worst illnesses to have, and I'll explain why. Because it requires a lot of discipline. For you to take care of a diabetes, you must discipline yourself. I don't care what you do. Other illnesses, things like HIV, if you just take your medications, you're generally okay. Other things, you take your pills, you're fine. But things like diabetes and all these metabolic things, they require a lot of discipline. You have to be careful with what you eat. You have to be careful with how you exercise, and so you cannot just not do anything. And so it takes a toll, which is why a lot of young people, when they start off, they get tired because they're like, I'm too young to be dealing with all of this stuff. And then even older people, they get tired. And so we need to keep that in mind when you're dealing with a diabetic patient. Even when they feel like you feel like they're being recalcitrant, a lot of times people are just emotionally exhausted. Give them some breathing room, give them some grace, let them know that this is actually normal. It's okay if you're having a hard time. Just try to keep things in perspective, because the goal here is to keep you out of trouble. As long as you're alive, you're going to have to deal with this. So you have to find peace with it. You have to be gentle with yourself, and you have to pace yourself. And if you're feeling exhausted, I am saying this too, not just for the patient, but also for family members, because a lot of times family come and they're giving pressure to the patients. Like, they don't want to do what they're supposed to do. They are doing this and they're doing that. I'm like, give them some
Oh,
grace. It's exhausting. It's
yes.
exhausting to always watch your back, and people are struggling with that. So
Oh,
when we have family members who are diabetic, please don't pick on them. Just encourage them. If they're having a hard day, say, I know it's a hard
oh,
day. Take a breath. Okay, today may be your bad day, your cheat day. All right,
oh,
pick up tomorrow. You're going to be okay. Don't pressure them. Don't harass them. It's difficult. It's something they have to fight with every single day,
oh.
every meal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that pep talk, Dr. B. Because, a lot of nurses, they are nice and calm and graceful. And so thank you for that, so that we can be more patient with people too, and with each other. Because we never know what a person is going through. They may look fine to us, but we're not like, well, I'm not, a medical doctor. So I will be nicer to people too. So thank you so much.
So that said and done, what are some of the symptoms, or what are the symptoms of diabetes?
So, Nia Song, I mentioned earlier, but I'm gonna go over them for you just so that we can knock this out quickly. In the beginning, I mentioned some of the things that we look for. So poly, always think poly means many, right? So we
Yes.
call them those medical names: polyuria, polydipsia, polyphagia, blurry vision, fatigue. There are other things like nerve pain, but polyuria, meaning you're peeing a lot. And again, that's because your body is trying to pee out the excess sugar. Your body is trying to correct itself. Polydipsia, when you're peeing a lot, your body knows I'm losing a lot of body fluid. I need to replenish. So you get very thirsty and your mouth will be dry. You're like, why am I drinking so much water? What is going on? But it's because you're losing a lot of water and your body is trying to replenish and keep peeing out all the sugar until it goes out. Polyphagia, you're always hungry. You're eating, but you're always hungry because the food is not getting to the right destination. It's ending up in the blood instead of going into the cells, because again you have issues with moving sugar from your blood into your cells, which is where it's needed for the heavy duty work. Blurry vision, because sugar gets it clots, it basically forms a film over your lenses, and so it's almost like somebody they put a shield over your eyes. You can't see very well. And fatigue, because you're not getting energy, the energy stores where they need to go, so you have energy, but again it's sitting in the blood instead of going into the cells. And then there are other things. Some people come in, they may be having a lot of infections. Some people may have urinary tract infections. Some people may have yeast infections, because when the sugar goes up, guess who likes sugar? Yeast. We have fungus all over our bodies. We have all kinds of stuff there, but when your blood sugars go up, for some people there's an overgrowth of fungus, and especially in the genital area, you can have what they call a genital yeast infection. So people are coming with like, I'm always itching, there's this white discharge. It's not uncommon to see that in people with elevated blood sugars. Some people come in with just a lot of aches and pains all over, and a lot of times that's a sign of neuropathy, because when there's too much sugar and it's sticking on the nerves, and it's also affecting blood supply to the nerves, you start having, your body basically starts complaining. It's like, I'm not happy, you need to fix this. Some of them coming with depression, with anxiety. Some of them coming with mood swings, because when your blood sugars keep going up and down, can you imagine if somebody just put you in something hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold? I mean, that would drive anybody crazy. And that's what happens with our blood sugars. So sometimes you would see a diabetic, they're acting up and acting out, but it's because their blood sugars are not right. And so, looking at all of those things, when we see people, we see them getting confused and all those things, just keep in mind it may be their blood sugar. Always rule it out. You can never go wrong ruling out high blood sugar or low blood sugar.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking a break now. Let's have a sip of water so we don't get dehydrated. And when we come back, one of the things I'd like for us to discuss is what are some of the foods to eat or not eat in order to prevent or protect ourselves against diabetes. So when we come back, please.
Oh, Africa. Oh no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Yeah. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does. To identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone. If we believe prosperity for Africans, if we believe medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Africa is a cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story, the truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. That is our theme song. It is our anthem, and it is written by our very own CEO, Her Royal Highness Queen Reverend Dr. Pam. Our next week's topic, Reverend Pam, or Nia song.
Yes, I think we are going into the holiday season. You know, it actually started this couple of days ago with Thanksgiving. We need to address what Christmas means, or the holiday season, because people celebrate Kwanzaa, people celebrate all kinds of stuff, you know. So I think we should address the hustle and the bustle with Christmas and end of year. All the things are just a generic approach of what it means, December means to people, the end of the year. You can call it holiday festivities, Nia. So.
Okay. That being said, other announcements?
Oh, yes. Before Ambassador Lisa reminds me, of course, clear your calendar, Labor Day weekend. That's September the 3rd through the 8th. We are going to be in Accra, Ghana. Some major things are going to be happening there. And for the first time, it's going to be a 6-day celebration. Ambassador Lisa, pack your bags. I don't think you've been to Ghana. Dr. Ugoji, you have to be there. Dr. B, you have to be there. Dr. Crosping, you have to be there.
No, I haven't been to Ghana.
Huh?
No. No, I haven't been to Ghana.
Well, when you go to Ghana, you will not remember Uganda and Kenya. But Dr. Crosping, you need to be there. Our guest from last week that you brought on, Mr. Anton Thompson, will be there. He's given me his confirmation that he will definitely be there. So Ghana will be the place to be. We're going to be discussing healthcare next September 3rd through the 8th. So we invite all our viewers. The tickets are open. You buy your ticket before December 31st, you get a 10% discount, early bird special. That's the first time we are doing that. So we'll encourage everybody to buy their tickets, register your company, promote your company. Ghana is going to be 6 days of memorable, epic, life-transforming experience. Over to you, Niaso.
Thank you very much. Before we went on the break, I asked the question, what are some of the foods we should eat or not eat during this time in order to fight diabetes? Dr. B, Dr. Ugoji, over to you. Dr. Ugoji, yes, I see you first.
Well, I would say, what are the foods we should eat all the time, not this time?
Okay. All right.
Yes. So when you come to eating, I like to tell my patients or tell everybody, you eat, you have two options. You have two things to look at, the choice and the quantity. It doesn't matter if you eat like a cow. I mean, eating grass. If you eat a drum full of grass, you get sick. So the choice and the quantity. When it comes to choice, fruit, vegetables, whole grains, nuts are preferable over carbohydrate-based food. Protein-based food, meat-based protein, plant-based protein is better than meat-based protein, but protein is better than carbohydrate. So basically, you have to make sure if you're eating, you have 3 colors on your plate. The veggies, the protein, and the carbohydrate should be equally spread 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And get a reasonable size of plate, a standard size of plate, and When you dish the food you need, when you're done, you should be done. If you get me, if they give me food in my plate, I tend to finish it. But if I dish my own food, I dish what I need. So then we talk about breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast should be heavy. Lunch, so we have heavy, heavier, heaviest. So heavy should be, the dinner should be light, followed by reasonable lunch and heavy breakfast. So you have time to process this food as you are moving around. And then when you eat dinner, you make sure you leave the dinner table hungry. So all of us, we eat. By the time we fill up our tummy, we'll drink some glass of water, we'll create more room. That extra room is not needed.
Dr. Ugoji, please, you're making me laugh. But you're right. You're right.
By the time when you first sign of feel it, you're done. You stop. And then of course, you make sure another type of food too. Organic food over processed food. But that means if you want to eat plantain fufu, for instance, it's better for you to buy raw plantain, green plantain, and blend it and make a fufu than to buy the pre-made plantain fufu in Walmart. Or those of us that go to Africa all the time, I go to Africa, I get raw plantain, I dry it, I blend it, and bring it for my fufu.
Wow.
Yes, I bring. That's why I eat for fufu.
At least you know that it only has plantain in there, no preservatives.
Thank you very much. Yeah, those who like pounded yam we eat here. Those pounded yam we eat here is only 1/4 pounded yam. The rest is sweet potato and all sort of starch. So if you want pounded yam, you go buy yam from the store, you peel it, you boil it, you blend it, and you make your fufu. So homemade stuff, so you know what you eat is better than processed food.
That's true.
Okay, and then I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Ugoji.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask: isn't yam almost the same? Isn't a starch like sweet potato?
No.
Starches, but yam is different. You know, yam. Let me correct.
No, correct. She's talking about the American yam.
Yes. There is American yam. There is American sweet potato. There is the yam called toro root from Africa. That's what I mean, yam.
So it's a root. It's a root vegetable.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not the American yam that looks like sweet potatoes.
Yeah, it's different yam.
Because when he said 1/4 yam and then three quarters sweet potato, I'm like, that sounds like it's all starch. But okay.
Ambassador Lisa, I will show you what a yam is before this program ends.
Okay, cool. You got some in your yard. Continue, Dr. Ugoji.
So bottom line is that break the habit for yourself, for your children, for your family. Always have 3 colors of food in your plate. Eat heavy breakfast, reasonable lunch, light dinner. Not only during time, all through. But for this time around, be very, very careful. We are all guilty. I ate on Thanksgiving Day. I refused to eat on Friday. I was sick from eating. That's bad.
Okay, can you see the yams, Ambassador Lisa?
Yes.
This is the yams he's talking about.
Oh, okay. And it's not a starch.
Anything like sweet potatoes.
It's a root vegetable.
It has starch, but different type of starch. I mean starch, don't get me wrong. But that yam, the reason why I have so many twins in Nigeria because it contains FSH. That make women have twins. Make women ovulate, make women release more than one egg, have twins.
The follicle stimulating hormone. Yam has that. I didn't know that.
Oh yes, that's why Yorubas produce a lot of twins.
When they get pregnant.
Oh my God, Nia Song has yams. Wait a minute, look at this.
Wait, yes. I can't see.
A friend.
Oh my God, look at Nia Song with yams.
Okay,
a friend sent me a box of yams yesterday. So I thought,
wow.
A box of yam. Did he plant it or it came from Ghana? That looks like
he brought them from Ghana. He went to Ghana and brought them.
My goodness.
He brought this.
They let him bring that through customs and immigration?
I don't know how he brought them. I just know that he brought them.
You just know you got it. Okay.
Yes, so let's hope customs doesn't visit you, because yams can be planted. I know they said in African
we buy
store
them in the
here.
stores anyway. So this one was brought in a box, but I know that usually in the stores.
And
Yes.
they are not cheap, so that's a good friend.
Yeah,
Before
that's
Dr.
awesome.
Goji continues and before Dr. B answers, weigh in on what we can eat, please kindly touch on resistant starch, because there is a way that we can eat rice without the guilt of the spike, the GI index. Apparently, when you boil the rice and you leave it in the fridge overnight, or the longer it stays in the fridge, the more resistant the starch, and the impact on insulin release is low. So I want you guys to address that in your question if you feel like addressing it. But that's one way, because most of the time when you cook rice, you don't sit and wait till the next day to eat it. You want to eat it right there when it's hot. But if you put it in the fridge, the longer it stays there, the more the resistant starch, and when you reheat it, it doesn't, the starch stays.
Well, who doesn't rinse their rice before you wash it, before you cook it?
You know, Reverend Pam, there's a lot of information I just put on here. I listed a bunch of websites that we use in lifestyle medicine. That, you know, people that have, because we're not going to be able to answer all those questions today, but there are a lot of resources I put in there. Nutritionfacts.com, plantrictionproject.com, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Between those four, and there are many others. When you start digging, you see many others. They tell you about starch. There's nothing wrong with starch. It's the kind of starch that we eat that causes trouble. And then also the amount, just like Dr. Ogoji said, is the type and the amount. So we want to eat more starch that have a lower glycemic index. If you're eating a higher glycemic index starch, meaning that it has a lower fiber content. Because what is fiber? Fiber is bulk that your body does not digest, but it helps to slow down the process so that you don't have too much sugar running into your system at once. It's almost like a gatekeeper to sugar release from food. So when you eat foods that are high in fiber, generally you don't have sugar spikes, because your body has to work its way through the fiber to get to the starch, and so that slows down the process. And those things also tend to keep you full for longer, because starch is bulky. It stretches out your stomach, which is how your brain knows that you're full. If you take a gallon of water and drink it, your brain tells you that you're full, because your stomach has stretched enough, and it says, the stretch receptors say, listen, I'm okay right now, I don't need anything. So that's what fiber does. That's why, for example, when you go to like the Chinese restaurants, you eat food, after 1 hour you're hungry, because if you don't get enough of the fiber in that food, the thing just runs through your system, and then it just dumps on your it just raises your blood sugar too,
And
but it runs through your system.
they cook with sugar, so there's
A lot of people here are cooking with sugar now. So it's, you know, we as you learn more about foods, but again, one thing we say, eat close to the ground, meaning that there should not be too much that has happened between when you get your food and when you cook it.
processed foods.
And then we talk about whole food, plant-based nutrition. So whole food again means that, again, your food has not been adulterated significantly. Between when you harvested and when you cooked it, there should not be too much happening to that food. And plant-based, that is actually the recipe for good health. If you look at what they call myplate.gov, I always tell people that everything is hidden in plain sight if you want to look. If you look at myplate.gov, on that plate, it's just about 20 to 25% of your meal that should be protein. And that's the difference between vegans and vegetarians. Vegans, everything on that plate is plant-based. Vegetarians, they can do some lean meats and so on. So again, it's not just every kind of meat that you should be eating, but you want to do the lean ones. But most of your plate, what should you have? You should have some vegetables. It should be about 25% of your plate. Complex starch, 25%. Some fruits, and then some nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are very good. They also have some fiber, but they have oil in them, so you cannot eat too much. A handful is good enough, because they give you a lot of the omegas that you need. And so those are like, that's the way forward. And then the other thing about food, so again, whole food, plant-based, eat close to the ground. You want to eat the colors of the rainbow. Why? Because all the colors of the food represent the content of the food. For example, beta carotenes, you know, they have that yellowish color or that orangey type of color. The leaf, dark leafy greens, folic acid. So those things are nature's way of telling you what the food contains. And there's no way that you cannot find something you like. If you look at call it the food rainbow chart, There are so many options. If you don't like this, please eat the other one. And one of the things I do, to the tricks that I use is, if you don't like something too much, bury it in stuff that you like. So when you're cooking, open your mind to the options on what you can cook. Don't just say, oh, this is the only way I can do it. Keep your options open. Like, especially when I'm doing vegetables and stir fries, I put in a whole lot of different things. And I try to make them as colorful and as exciting as possible, because that makes people want to eat it. But it also means that I'm loading up on all the nutrients I need. And then Reverend Pam was asking, there's something, for example, when you take a box of pasta, if you read it, it says al dente. Al
That's
dente
hard.
means you're trying to make it resistant. When
Mm-hmm.
you cook pasta the way we normally cook it, we cook it until it's soft and mushy, right? Or, well, not quite mushy, but soft and slimy. But al dente, it's still a little firm. When you cook it al dente, it doesn't cause as much insulin spike. So
Right.
if you really want your pasta, again, you don't want to be eating too much pasta, but if you really have to have your pasta, cook it al dente. And if you look on the box tells you al dente is 7 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever it is. If you go al dente, you will notice the pasta is not completely ready, but that's the right way to cook it to reduce your risk of spikes. And then some of the other foods too, things like rice and so on, instead of just loading up on all rice, what I do sometimes is that I would add some rice cauliflower to it, because sometimes the children would fight me. So I would add some rice cauliflower. That way you still have the consistency of rice, but you have a whole lot less starch than you would have had before. And then there are other things to, like adding things like beans and lentils to your food. If you go to nutritionfacts.org, that's one of the sites too. They'll tell you exactly how you can make your food less with a better glycemic index, so that you're not loading up on sugars or you're not getting sugar spikes. But I sent a list. I sent a bunch of websites while we're talking. I posted them on the chat. If we can copy them and send them out, please go there and visit them. It's a whole world of information. It just empowers you to take care of yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think we are coming to the last round.
Okay, if that is said, then I will get ready to do that.
Before we go to the last round, I think
Sure.
we're at 5:21. I just want to ask Dr. B real quickly if you could name number 1, 2, 3, which are the best rices, starch wise, is the
Okay,
best.
name them without the name of the company.
Yes, I'm
No,
not gonna
no, yeah,
call
just
black rice.
brown rice, jasmine rice.
Black rice is
That
very good. I actually had a list the other day. I'm going to try to find it and send it to you. I had a list the other day, but black rice is really good because it's still high in the antioxidants. So let me
okay.
tell you a trick about rice. Rice grows in swamps.
Yeah.
So the only problem with rice is that you have to always think about arsenic and stuff, because it's naturally found in the soil. So when you're eating rice, you want to keep it minimum, because the more you eat, the more of that, and especially when the rice is not processed. So it's like a catch-22. It's less processed, but that means it has more of the natural contaminants in the soil in it. So just keep that in mind. Again, if we take it easy, eat smaller amounts, lots of vegetables and fruits, you're going in the right direction. With fruits again,
Okay.
the sweeter the fruit is, the higher the glycemic index. Just keep that in mind. So you can have some, but you can always don't eat too much of it, especially if you're diabetic and you don't want to eat large amounts. You don't want to eat too much of the sweet ones. Things like berries tend to be better, especially for diabetics. Not only are they rich in antioxidants, but they're lower in glycemic index. Just again, when you go to those websites that I sent to you, I mean, you're going to be amazed how much information is out there. They may not have everything that covers all our African foods, but they still cover a lot of things. And then we as Africans, we need to commit to developing our own knowledge base so that we can tell our people exactly what
That's
these
true.
dark leafy greens, all those are vegetables. Bitter leaf, jamaja, all those dark leafy greens, they are power vegetables. If you load that on your meal every time, beans is another one, all the varieties of beans. So I'm giving you little tricks here. They call them the top foods that you should be eating. Those leafy greens, power foods. Beans, different kinds of beans, power foods. Things like broccoli, cabbage, those they call them indo-acetic, whatever. I'm forgetting the exact name. But things like cabbages, broccoli, those are all very good foods too, and they have a lower glycemic index. Literally, you can eat a large amount without worrying half as much. Not saying that you
Okay.
should. So that's those little perks right there. But a lot of the information
Dr.
is
B,
on those sites.
before you learn, you mentioned bitter leaf. Cameroon has the best dishes. Ndole, which is one of the delicacies there. We actually basically wash the life out of the bitter leaf before we use it.
Yes, and then we load it up with a
so
lot
what
of
is the
oil.
value? Because now they sell bitter leaf online. Somebody is taking bitter leaf and put them in a capsule, and they are selling them.
Oh,
You know,
yes. Yes.
I'm not gonna say anything about its medicinal value because I've not seen any scientific studies. But what do? We wash out the bitter leaf and what, because you really can't eat it without bitterness. And
Well, you
go
know,
ahead.
you can offset it, like you said, we cook it with many other things to kind of offset the bitterness. But adding maybe something like spinach to it, or collard greens to kind of tone down the bitterness helps. um we always talk about things like egusi and so on. Those are really nice, but you also have to think about how much calories they're adding to the food. I mean, those are things that you want to find ways to eat it. You want to hide it in other foods. For example, if you're making churned plantains and all those things, you throw in some bitter leaf in there so that it's not very bitter, but you still get the value for your buck. So I think the key to eating healthy is also being flexible. Stop insisting that, oh, this is how we must eat. For example, there are certain cultures we come from where you eat a little bit of soup and you put a whole lot of starch. That's actually the wrong way to eat, but they get away with that because they don't eat much and they're always very active. But once you leave that environment and you come here and you do stuff like that, you're going to just pack on the pounds and all the health issues. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people don't realize when they travel out of Africa and so on, because their people are always on the move. They're not always eating, they're not always snacking, they don't always have access to all these other things, even though it's becoming a problem too. But for the most part, those people in the villages and so on, they're busy, they're in the farms, they are up and running. They don't indulge have as much, so they don't have as much of a problem. But once you come here and you keep doing those things, you will get into trouble.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. B. I think we can go to Nia Sung now for the round of the table.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I will start, as always, with Dr. Crossley. Is she still with us, Dr. Crossley?
Of course, I'm still with you. I would not miss this. And
your last word.
yeah, so my last word is thank you so much, Dr. Ugoji and Dr. B. And to you, Dr. Pam, and Prophetess Lisa, and to you, Professor Niasan, and to the global audience for letting me be here. And we do need the awareness, and we do need to keep getting updated and reminded, and we can never hear it enough about diabetes prevention, maintenance, and treatment, and getting over it, and eating better, and lifestyle changes. Thank you all so much, and have a healthy, happy new year.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday too. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm coming to Dr. Ugoji. Your last word, please.
I always tell my patients, diabetes is not your friend, but you can work with diabetes. Take it, put it in your pocket by doing the right thing, live your life. Or
I like that.
let it alone, it will deal with you, take away your vision, take away your feet, take away your skin, take away your heart, and kill you. It's a win-win battle. If you take care of diabetes, you will live as long as God wanted you to live. If you don't take care of diabetes, your life will be short. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Lisa, please. I know I kind of missed you.
Did Dr. B give her last word? She did not. She was answering a question.
No,
Reverend Pam?
Dr. B is coming last.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yes. I just want to keep her here as long as I can.
Well, I want to thank our guests, not really our guests, but our speakers for today, Dr. Ugoji and Dr. B, for their insights on diabetes. I believe we've done this subject a couple of times, but this one, we talked about some recent updates, some advances. I actually learned the difference between juvenile diabetes and type 2. I had some preconceived notions, but they were old notions. So we got some clarity on that, and I'm glad. We talked about the different kinds of foods that we need to eat and how we can actually reverse it. Thank you both so much for your insights and your continual deposits on this show.
That's right.
Again, we as African Online are here every Sunday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to know what time we are on in your neck of the woods, use the timezoneconverter.com, and it'll tell you what time we come on in your country. I thank you again. Go to our YouTube page, visit our Facebook, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so just to add,
yes,
we have tackled this topic for the past 9.5 years. Every year we address diabetes. So and we'll keep doing it to sensitize people. More people need to hear it. The more you hear it, the more, I mean, it serves as a reminder. Because to be honest with you, I was planning on eating some Ghanaian jollof rice, but now I'm not even gonna touch it. So it's a reminder. And I'll put it in the fridge and then eat it tomorrow.
So add your last word.
Oh, well, my last word is, Dr. Ugoji and Dr. B. Tazong, we started with several medical squads. Some of them came, or some of them come once in a while, but you guys are consistent. And you don't only come at the last Sunday of the month, you come frequently and contribute to all other topics. Thank you guys so much, and I'm glad we were able to honor you in New York City. More honors are coming. Just keep doing what you're doing. This is premium knowledge we are sharing with people for free, and God will continue to bless you. And Dr. B, thank you for reminding us to be merciful with family members that have diabetes and keep eating the wrong things. I'm thankful that we don't have diabetes in our family, but I do have a relative that was recently diagnosed with diabetes, and I know it will go away. They do the right things, so that we have to really be considerate and empathetic. Sometimes we're harsh on family members or loved ones who keep eating the wrong things. This thing, you can't really blame anybody because you are the one putting it in your mouth. It's not somebody else putting it in your mouth. You are the one doing it to your body. Like somebody said, whatever you eat today, make sure your tomorrow's self will thank you. So when you are old age, is your old age going to thank you for what you were doing today? So when we are putting things in our mouth, we should think about it longer. Just like people who drink alcohol, people who smoke, and then later on in life, they start dealing with all kinds of cancers. So thank you all so much. Appreciate you.
Dr. B. Tazong from Mundan, please don't go away yet. Your last word.
So please let me indulge because something just came up and I just said it's important that I bring it up. We've already crushed a lot of the things on diabetes, but I think you'd be a disservice to close this out without talking about low blood sugar, because when you're diabetic, you're always at risk of hypoglycemia. And that can happen if you don't eat enough or eat properly, basically balancing your food intake with your insulin intake. Or if you're very active, your body can use up sugar faster, so you can drop faster than you expect. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because it's a time when diabetics should be very mindful and people around them should be mindful. Because the reason I also bring it up is because low blood sugar will kill you faster than high blood sugar. If your blood sugar goes low enough, you can go into a coma, you can have seizures and so on, and you can die. Diabetic high blood sugar will kill you, but it takes time. It's like a slow moving wreck. Low blood sugar is like like a plane crash. Okay, so we should pay attention to the people around us that are diabetic. If you see somebody's looking weak, tired, they're hungry, they're dizzy or shaky, they're acting nervous or upset, they're sweaty, they're confused, they're sleepy, they have a mood change, and they have a headache, or you just notice they're basically fading on you, their blood sugar is probably low. Even if you're not sure, give them sugar, and you don't give them food at that moment. Give them something really sweet, maybe juice or some. If they have blood glucose tablets, people should always carry those around if you're diabetic.
Orange juice or apple juice.
Correct. And after you correct it, it's gonna jack up the sugar a little bit, but then once they come back to themselves, you can give them food because you need to maintain their sugar at an acceptable level. It's better for them to have a higher blood sugar for a short while than to have a low blood sugar. So that's what you always tell yourself. If they're acting funny, they're not looking right, they look like they're going to pass out. And the one thing I'll tell you, because I've had hypoglycemia, when it's happening to you, you know it's happening, but it's almost as if you're frozen in time. You can't act. So the people around you need to know. Sometimes they have slurry speech. They look like they're having a stroke when it's actually the blood sugar. So if you notice people like that, or they're sweating a lot at night, always check up on those people, because it's very easy for them. They can die in their sleep. They can be somewhere and nobody can help them, and they will die. So if you have a diabetic around you, please be mindful, pay attention, keep some sweets around, hide it from them because you don't want them eating it all the time. But just in case they need a rescue. And remember, after you have a hypoglycemic episode, Generally, it takes you a while. It takes a while for you to recover, because the way I describe it is, when you're in an accident and you leave, you're shaken up for a while. When your blood sugars drop that low, even when you correct it, your body is shaken up for a while. So they need to stay calm. They need to stay, just leave them alone for a little while so their bodies can come back to normal.
Yeah, that's very important, because when we're in medical school, they told us that if somebody comes to the hospital in coma, we didn't have glucometer, give him glucose first.
Yep.
If he's diabetic, a little more glucose will not kill him.
That's true.
If glucose doesn't help him, then he's starting about insulin.
Exactly.
So hypoglycemia will kill you.
That is critical information. And I just have something. I know we were doing the last round. We've had several people die in Africa because they went in with hypoglycemia and they actually gave them insulin. And because they got the symptoms confused. And I'm hoping, I know of a couple of people that happened to. They were not my relatives, but I know their children. So I'd like Dr. Ugoji and Dr. Tazong to speak directly to their colleagues on the continent about that. Like you say, if it was high blood hyperglycemia, a little glucose will not kill them, but to give them insulin, and it ends up being hypoglycemia, they're gonna die.
You're gonna bury them.
Just speak briefly to your colleagues on the continent.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, so you didn't hear me. I just asked.
I didn't. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I said I know we were doing the round, but this particular issue of giving people insulin before checking their blood sugar or whatever, because a couple of people, I don't know if it's still happening, but it's happened.
It's still happening.
It's still happening. Yeah, it's happening.
And we just need to stop doing that. It frustrates me, because I think we have so many amazing and intelligent African physicians, but we need to step up our game. We need to stop making excuses. If somebody taught you the wrong thing, you don't need to keep doing it. If you've done this before and a patient has died, there's no reason why you should keep doing it. Well, you always have to check yourself, because people are depending on you to rescue them. You cannot be the one killing people. So, and say, well, this is a protocol. I don't care about the protocol. Yeah, I care about protocol, but if the protocol is killing people, I don't care about it. So if a patient comes in, like Dr. Ugoji said, and like I said before, hypoglycemia is like a plane crash that devastates everything. Insulin is like, hyperglycemia is a slow-moving wreck. It's easier to fix a slow-moving wreck than to fix a major plane crash. So I would rather have a slow-moving wreck than have a fast-moving plane crash. When the patient comes in, if they're in a coma, give them sugar. If it turns out that their blood sugar is high, it's easy to correct it gently with insulin. But if their sugar is low and you just give them, you have basically killed the patient. I mean, it's going to be miraculous if they don't die.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ugoji.
So this also goes to the nurses, the chemists, and all the primary care providers that are found in remote areas in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. Somebody's in coma, you don't know what's going on, give them some sugar. D5 first. If they don't respond, then start talking about insulin or other treatment. Start with the sugar, more sugar, until you're sure that they don't wake up. They don't wake up with sugar, then you can also treat what caused the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, Nielsen.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a great pleasure having us participate in today's program. The last day of the month of November. We begin a new month tomorrow, the month of December, the end month of the year. And we are going to be having our holiday festivities discussion next Sunday, the 7th of December. Please have a great week and enjoy the rest of the Thanksgiving. Bye for now.